Hi guys, my name is Dejanay, but you guys can call me Danny. I just chose to do a video because I thought that would be much easier than trying to answer the questions written. And I thought it'd be fun to try out just to see how it work. So to answer the questions of the assignment, basically I typically want to say I spend like a whole work shift, like 8 to 10 hours on homework. I'm doing this class and I'm doing Psych 2. And between both classes, they require at minimum 4 hours a day per class. And if I'm being honest, this class does require a little bit more just because, you're really doing the work of you can watch, you watch the videos and the lectures and everything, but for me, how I like to learn it, I like to get my notes that I have. I refer to the textbook and I'd like to read everything and kind of teach myself all the material that's there and look at all the examples and just do research and try to find the best methods possible for me personally to understand how to do the problems. And essentially what I do is I look at my notes, I go over everything, and I try to do all that and the reading while doing the homework at the same time. So in a way, one, I can knock out getting the homework done, and two, it will help me understand what I'm doing with the homework and the problems, because most of the quizzes and tests, as most of us realize by now, pretty much there's like the bunch of different problems from the homework just put into one thing. And so the best way for me to learn is to read it, look at examples, and then put it into practice myself. So I like to, they have the different scales of I think kinesthetic and visual learning and auditory learning and all these different things. And I'd like to say that I'm all three. I know a lot of times they try to push you to being towards one, and I don't even know if kinesthetic is the right word. I'm sorry. I don't know if that's the right word to use, but that's just the word I'm going to use for now. But I like to say I'm all three. I really emphasize needing to do, I need to hear something, I need to look at it, and then I need to do it, basically. I have to do it all in order for me to really understand and perfect it. Because that's my thing too, is I won't call myself a perfectionist, but I guess in some moments I do embody that, because one, I don't like to fail, and two, I hate not understanding something. So I think that's really important, is being very hands-on with what you're learning. To me personally, that's the best way. Everybody has different methods. I work in the mornings, so usually I am doing my homework in the afternoon and evening time. So I'm basically, as soon as I get home from work, I may or may not take a nap. And then depending on if I take a nap or not, I usually just go straight to doing homework. So I spend basically the rest of the day is doing homework. Sometimes, most of the time, honestly, I'll stay up until midnight finishing homework between both classes. Like I said earlier in the video, this class does take a little bit more effort just because there's so many different formulas and concepts and things that you really have to learn as you go. It's something that you kind of, in that exact moment, you really need to make sure you're understanding. It's not just taking notes and then, kind of going back and being oh, I can kind of understand it, whatever. You have to really try to understand it as much as possible and study it, and applying that as you go. Definitely I give this class basically every day of the week. I try to have it to where I don't do any homework on Sundays, because that can be my one day off. So mainly try to do like a Monday through Saturday schedule. But like I said, I work, I have a life. We all have lives outside of class. Everyone has different things that they have to do. So stuff does come up. But I do try to do it basically every single day. Like I try to have it where, like this week we have 2 chapters, but chapter 6 is a little bit longer than most of the chapters we're used to. So I split it up into doing section 6.1 through section 6.3 in one day, 6.3 to 6.6 in another day, and then doing chapter 7 all in one day. And then I just try to do my discussion somewhere in between all that. And then usually by the time I'm finished with my homework, that's when I like to do the quizzes, is when it's, give myself a little bit of break and then go do the quizzes and making sure. And then, we just had our first test, and I think not until next week we're having our next one. Yeah. Next week we're having our next one. So I try to save all the tests, of course, for last, and just make sure I'm ready for that, because the tests are timed. So that's also a thing about making sure everything is good, is because those tests are timed, and I have anxiety, like bad anxiety. So I will have my calculator here, and I will be sweating while trying to do all that. But yeah, basically it's really important to make sure you know what you're doing. So yeah, I try to basically do my work 6 days a week. The class is only 6 weeks, so it kind of, or was it 8 weeks? I'm pretty sure it's 6 weeks. Yeah, 6 weeks. So it does require a lot of attention. Even when you're like in your normal, like 12 to I think 16-week semesters in like the fall and spring, those require a lot of attention. But definitely now with the summertime, these require a lot of attention. So I am familiar with the syllabus. I feel like I reference that a couple times a week just to be sure, like, I'm not crazy and I'm like, oh my God, is this due on this day? It's like I know in my head that I know when stuff is due, but I do get confused a lot, and I'm like, I'm not sure. I try to make sure that I have everything done as far as due dates go, like the day before it's due. By then, like, so if something's due tomorrow, I try to make sure it's all done like today, instead of trying to do stuff that same day it's due. I don't really like that. Like, sometimes I will submit it that day just because it's like give myself the room to make sure everything's good and like proofread everything. But actually getting it done, I try to make sure everything's done at least a day before the due dates. I hate that pressure of the same day of trying to turn things in. That's why, a lot of stuff usually due like Sunday 11:59. I try to make sure it's done way before that, because I don't like that pressure of, oh my God, I only have 10 minutes to get this done. So like I said, I use the textbook a lot. I think the textbook, honestly, it does a pretty good job. I mean, it gives us definitions, and it gives us a lot of different types of examples to put, the formulas and like situations into perspective. And they pretty much match a lot of the questions we get in the homework. So that helps. I do like to use like Khan Academy and other things online that kind of break down, how to do certain problems, because like I said, it's important that I understand them. So lastly, I will say is that when I get stuck, my biggest thing is to research. You would be surprised how many resources there are online that basically break down the problems we have. And, it really it gives you basically like the same question, but obviously the numbers and everything's a little bit differently. And it really puts into perspective like what you need to do, because, we all get stuck at some point. We try our hardest, and sometimes the book, they'll kind of give you the more general examples. Like, they do give good examples, but there are some problems I feel like the book misses out on that I'm like, that's not there. Like, I don't know what to do. So I try my hardest to just go and do research and just look up like, hey, like, how do you solve this basically, and get the breakdown of that. So yeah, definitely go online, type in your questions, and see what you're able to find. Like, there's so many different things out there, you know. The book is still helpful. We're basically heading into week 4, and this is embarrassing to admit, but I'm like really adjusting barely to StatCrunch. Like, I've tried to use it before and I've been using it. Now it's like heaven to me. But I was having such a hard time originally learning how to operate StatCrunch, and it's become my friend. It saved my life for a lot of these problems and saved some time, because a lot of the stuff, you know, you can write down and you can do the work, but it also is, you know, with chapter 6 especially, and it even tells you to use technology, you know, so use your calculators, use your StatCrunch, use what the things that the homework provides for you. So, but yeah, so I just wanted to use this video to answer all these questions.